Well, hello. I should probably tell you that I actually started this thinking that I was going to do a youth show because we were talking about what we could do to improve our county fair. I then decided that it would be a good idea to do a plan of work, which we ended up doing together as an organization. And then I tried to assess like what we actually needed within the county. So I really started looking at the ADDIE model, and I was like, what am I like going to do that actually has a positive impact on our at-risk audiences in Madison County? So, oh, it kind of covers it. So I couldn't come up with a really witty name, but I just went with the Madison County Allied Youth Initiative. So my goal was to ensure that we created a safe and inclusive space for any youth that wants to participate in 4-H programming. And the reason that I really thought that this would be something I wanted to take on right now was the fact that I had realized that we had these wonderful resources with Eduardo, with Nigel, and I kind of have this past where I already was passionate about doing this. In my former position, I actually worked with at-risk youth, and one of the programs that I did was I put together an Allies in Action group with our organization, which we did to support LGBTQIA youth. So this is a passion of mine. I've had it for years. And now that I see an opening to try to drive that in 4-H, I just really wanted to jump on it and push it. So for needs, suicide is the second leading cause right now of death among our young people, preventable death, and that's huge. This is something that could be clearly, addressed, but people don't feel comfortable talking about these things. So there's wonderful trainings. For example, we just attended a mental health first aid with Nigel that are available to us, but our community members, our parents, our school staff that aren't social workers or guidance counselors, these are not things that they're familiar with. So one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to try to pull something together that was in a central location in our county to help support these types of organizations and these youth. Now I say a central location. We're lucky. Where we are in Madison County is dead center in our county. So we're actually right about here. And as of right now, there's only one for example, LGBTQIA youth organization, and that runs through Bridges. And that organization is actually way in the corner and only has served 5 youth this year. Those 5 youth have never met. So there is a dire need. So after kind of assessing our area and seeing that we had this, I decided to dive in a little bit. So just kind of background, again, but just in Chenango County, and I'm jumping to Chenango because I'm more familiar with it because I was present. In Chenango County alone, there were 3 suicides in the year and a half that I worked for Liberty Partnerships Program. Those suicides, 2 were related to LGBTQIA youth. 1, every youth that was there that knew that youth said that it was related to it, but the parents refused to allow that to be the decision. Now, my program isn't just targeting those youth. My program is actually trying to aim to actually support all minority groups, all ethnicities, any gender. The goal of it is really to develop something that goes beyond what our county is already doing. Right now, we're predominantly white, and we really generally only serve the same families and community members that we have for probably close to the entire time we've been at 4-H. Every year, so I looked at the statistics, and every year that 4-H has existed in Madison County, we have roughly a 40-person turnover. That turnover roughly has derived from our urban areas. So we're getting up to 160 kids in our little 73,000 county area, but we're losing 40 every year in turnover, and it just looks like we're staying the same. Because what's happening is we're re-recruiting people, we're finally getting back in different areas, and then we lose them at the end of the year because we don't develop programs to support them. We don't diversify our stuff, and realistically, we've been doing the same thing for too long. So my hope is really that we kind of push into these different areas that we're not used to. We push into mental health support areas. We do yoga, we do meditation, we do anything. We do robotics. Madison County is very much an animal science program. We're at 85%, almost 90% animal science programs. And generally, we should have 2 educators. So my goal is to develop diverse programming that supports our diverse populations. That should be a given. I understand that that should be a given, but that is not the case, and that's why it has to happen. And I really want to push this comfort level with supporting mental health. I don't want people to be scared to talk to their kids about things that, you know, might be new to them, you know, differences in gender. So I also want to put together programs that support the parents. So part of my goal is working with guidance counselors and social workers in schools to develop a centralized safe zone. And I've actually got permission from my executive director to put that right inside our building. So my hope is that by developing this space and working with the schools as I had with Chenango County, that I can get the schools to provide transportation for their youth that want to participate in this leadership and civic engaged programming. When you think about it, honestly, one suicide in a school district is detrimental. I mean, for them to provide transportation costs when they're reimbursed at 98% in New York State, it would be silly for them not to try to support their youth. Especially when we have the Suicide Coalition and Bridges willing to support such an initiative. So staff and parent education programs, school assemblies. It sounds so silly, but when I was in school, there were so many more school assemblies. I've worked in a school the last 2 years. I haven't seen that many guest speakers at all lately, and nobody brave enough to talk about the risks of things like suicide, you know, and, you know, mental health. So my hope was to pursue training in things like opening doors with Eduardo, which I'm going to next week, to do Trevor training, to try to do Listen training, and to actually use some of my time to step inside these classrooms and try to support the kids where they are. You know, we can't always expect the kids to come to us, but I think when they realize that I'm a safe person and that we're a safe space as 4-H, that would open the doors to try to support these youth, especially knowing now that they really don't have anywhere to go. Of the 23 districts that we're actually working with in Madison County, only 2 have allies groups. Oh, teen leadership retreats. I think this is so silly, but I don't know why we don't have a retreat in Madison County for kids to come together and learn leadership skills. So I actually went out in this process and I talked to the Farm Bureau, and they have since provided us the funding to have our own Leadership Institute in June. So it'll be our first kind of kickoff event with the Farm Bureau. So I'm really excited about that as well. So evaluation strategies. Now, we're going to do pre and post surveys. We're going to use Qualtrics surveys. But realistically, for me, the evaluation strategy that matters to me, I understand that we have to report all this data. I really do. I just want to see kids feel safe. I want to see kids participating in a program that walk up to me and tell me, you know what, like, thank you. Or, you know what, just, I've had a kid, so going back, in my last job, I've had a kid walk up to me and say, you know what, like, I'm so appreciative of you. You know what I mean? And that's what we need. We just need to be that caring adult that finds that child that we can, like, you know, support. And if honestly, if I see 4 kids out of 100, and I know that we did something so powerful as if to maybe prevent them from completing suicide, like, you know, then that to me would be a huge success. And I don't know. So resources, I don't know why my slides are all messed up. I really spent some time on them. These are just some websites. I listed that as well. But I mean, for me, the resources are our community members and, you know, our state 4-H team, Eduardo. I'm actually really excited about this, so I'm going to share this. So I've been talking with Eduardo, and, you know, he realized how passionate about this I am. One of the things that I'm actually doing is I'm in school to be a social worker as well. So Columbia, you know, I called and I was like, listen, I'm going to have to leave. Like, I can't do this. I can't do my job in school. I just can't do it. And you know what they said when they found out that I was starting to do diversity work? They're like, we're going to extend you for 2 years. Don't even worry about it. If you want to do 1 class at a time, do 1 class at a time. They were pumped. So my school is being super supportive. I got that in place. And Eduardo is actually sending me to Opening Doors and now going to fund 20% of my time using one of those grants so I can do diversity programming. So I'm just so excited. I'm so kind of pumped. I'm in this position. This program, now it makes me giggle because, you know, like I said, it started in a fair, and then it went to plan work, and then it went to this. But every one of the processes that we do, like the Addy model itself, every one of them just kind of flowed into each other, you know? So it's a skill set that you take home, you'll use every day, and you know, it helps with every program. So I'm super thankful for being here. I am so excited about the future in 4-H, and I think we just hired somebody today. So I'm finally not gonna be the only person. So yes, but yeah, that's what I got. Do you have any questions?
Just a quick one about
Yeah.
40% turnover. What are you talking about you on the speed?
Not 40%, so it's roughly 40. So what's happening is we keep moving into like different areas in the county. If you look, so if you look at our county, rural, somewhat, you know, suburban, and then more urban. Nida, Chittenango is kind of like the only more urban populations we have. What's happening is we keep recruiting these big groups, like an after-school program in a Nida school, or an after-school program in a Chittenango school, and then we do no STEM programming. We don't do healthy living programming. We have club leaders that want to do yoga, but because we're doing, I shouldn't say this, but because we're doing like 25 course programs, we don't have time. Like, so by having, you know, something in place to really be like, hey, this has got to change, you know, we need more volunteers. Oh, I forgot to add, I actually, not this week, next week after, we're actually doing a volunteer recruitment push, so that also came out of this. So we're hoping to get more volunteers to put more of these things in place, but yeah. Oh.
How would you keep the funding for this program?
I'm taking it right out of what we're doing right now. I actually, so far since I've started, so I started last year in June. I've never written a grant in my life, but this year I've written $26,000 worth of grants, and it's my first year. So I keep looking. If I see it, I go after it, and I really try to tailor it to what we need. And I think people know we need these programs, so they seem to be supporting them.
Does your extension office allow you to do this program and throughout other programming? How is that?
So yes, and in truth, yes. So by buying 20% of my time, Eduardo can tell me to do whatever he wants me to for that time. Now, I should tell you, like I'm used right now to working 55 to 60 hours a week, so I really needed to cut down a little bit.